Hello to all of my viewers tuning in. I am your host. I am Lovely Ann, and welcome to another episode of the Pulsating Thoughts podcast. Today's episode is titled Life After Active Duty. Today, I have my special guest with me, Deniece Prather. Did I say that right? I just butchered that. Did I just say it right?
Ah, you
I
did.
did. Okay. So I have with me Deniece Prather, who is going to talk about life after active duty. So this episode is dedicated to the millions of Americans who take the time out of their life and sacrifice their life to serve for the U.S. Armed Forces to protect civilians like you and I. So Deniece, before we even get started, I want to say to you, thank you for your service, for your years of service, and we'll get into all of that so everybody have an idea of what branch you represented and what you did for a living. So before we get started, go ahead and introduce yourself. Where are you from? Where did you grow up, and how was your childhood?
Okay, so like Miss Lovely Ann said, I am Deniece Prather. I am originally from Miami, Florida, Dade County 305, born and raised, baby. Yes. I went to I attended Carroll City Senior High School, graduated in 2001, and right after that, I headed into the military. And it was mostly because I wanted to get away from Miami. I didn't have the best childhood growing up. So I wanted to make sure that I created a life, a good life for myself. And if I decided, to have a family, I wanted to make sure that I created a great lifestyle for them and not a childhood that they had to heal from like I did.
Got you.
Yeah.
State your branch of service and your rank.
Okay, so I was in the United States Air Force, and I am a retired senior master sergeant, or a E8, for those that are in the other branches. And I served 21 years in the military.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So out of all the branches, what made you select the Air Force?
Girl, to be honest, when the recruiter came to our school, he was cute. That was my childish ways back then, but that's what kind of made me just choose to go talk to an Air Force recruiter. But once he started talking to me, and he informed me of all the entitlements that I could get, the benefits, just the type of life I could have just joining the military.
Gotcha.
I chose, I probably chose the best out of the branches we have right now.
Right.
But every branch has their, their goods, their bads. I just decided to choose the Air Force because that was best for me at the time.
So you did say right after high school, you as soon as you graduated, you went, you pretty much joined, you got sworn in at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Tell us about basic training.
Oh, okay. So basic training was, I would tell you, it was a check, like an attitude check for me. Because I went in there thinking I was big and bad. Like, ain't nobody finna tell me what to do. You're not gonna be in my face talking to me. And oh my God, that was a reality check for basic training. I was in there for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And we learned, of course, all the military discipline and the military lingo and everything that goes into you becoming an airman of the United States Air Force. So we were taught a lot of different things. And what I learned most in there was teamwork.
Gotcha.
The only way you can make it through is teamwork. And then came discipline, physical, the physical aspect of being in the military. Like, we had to get up, work out. We had to eat like it was our last meal every time. But overall, it was good. It was tough. It was mentally challenging.
Mm-hmm.
It was physically challenging, but I made it through, and I have like lifelong friends just from basic training, and that gave me the foundation to make it to 21 years in the military and retire and, continue life. So overall, it was good. It was challenging, and here I am, still standing today.
So for the people who's listening or thinking about joining, basically basic training is just to break down whatever your normalcy is and to build you back up to you becoming the soldier or the airman or the seaman that is needed to carry out your duty, basically, in layman's terms.
That is right. That is right. And I tell you, I will be 100% honest. It will break you down because that's what it's made for,
Right.
It's to get you physically ready to handle those challenges that you are going to deal with, not only in the military, but outside of the military. And you have to be disciplined enough to carry those core values, which are integrity first, service before self, and excellence in everything that you do.
Mm-hmm.
You have to carry those core values with you everywhere. And that's what they teach you in basic training.
Got you. So upon graduating basic training, what was your official job?
So my official job, I was classed as a supply management person. And basically what that was, you would work in a warehouse, or you would basically support the aircraft, the parts that they needed. And that was your job. Putting warheads on foreheads. That's what we said. So yeah, that's what we said. So you were essential. My job was essential to the mission. So we had to make sure that we had those parts ready and available for those maintainers to take out to their aircraft when needed.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Did you have difficulty adjusting to your first job? Okay. And what was the people like?
So did I have difficulty adjusting? Yes, because it was something that I never did before, right?
Right.
I think my first job in high school was like Burger King. So I would tell you the military is nothing like that, right?
Right.
So you're dealing with all type of different people from different parts of the world, different backgrounds, the people were the people. Mm-hmm. I think there's no other way to say that because it's a mixing bowl, right?
Right.
And you have different personalities. You have different, I say this, you have like A type people, and then you have your, like your alpha female male, and your,
mm-hmm. Right.
Stuff. So, it was different trying to adjust to everybody's personality. That was the most difficult part because you not only had to, make sure you was doing your job and doing it to the best of the ability, but you were trying to make sure that your supervisor was happy the way that you were doing your job. So the good thing about it is they provided training for us. And they provided what are called, I don't know if they still do it now, but it's career development courses. So they gave you books that help you learn your job, basically. And you had hands-on opportunities within your job to learn it and become better at it. Gotcha. And that opened up many opportunities for you to go to other jobs within that career field.
Gotcha. Take us through a day in the life of a soldier. Or airman in your case.
So it kind of depends on where you're at, right? Once you graduate from basic training in tech school, you go to your first duty station. So that's where you're going to be stationed at. You get to your first job and you move into a dorm. You get up. If you have to go to PT to go to, to get your workout on, because of course, the physical aspect of those pillars that we have in the military, you have to make sure that you are physically fit,
right,
to perform your duties. You do that, you get an hour and a half to do that in the morning, and then after that, you go to your job. You work your job for 8, 9, 10 hours a day sometimes, and That's it. I mean, it's nothing. It's nothing more than what you do on 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 the outside, except of course you have more stringent rules and regulations. Because you can get kicked out the military just like you can get fired from a normal civilian job, right? But the thing with the military is if you get kicked out, like a dishonorable discharge, you lose your benefits. So you never want to do anything to put yourself in that position, because you don't want to lose your benefits, right? Okay. You got health, you got education, right? So you don't want to lose those. And some things that some people don't tell you is like being in the military. With those benefits, you get housing allowance, and you also get to use your VA benefits, which helps you get a house on the outside. Education, it pays for your tuition to go to school. So and medical, while it ain't it may not be the greatest depending on the doctors you have, but it's free, right?
Right.
It's free. So you can't, I mean, I will tell you the military is it's almost like a cheat code to life sometimes. Especially if you have the mental capacity to go through it.
Listen, so, we my boys are military brats, and when we were stationed in Key West, I hated going to the Navy clinic because it was like, oh, God, why can't we just go to an outside doctor? Why we gotta go here? But girl, trust me, I understand.
Yeah. It may not be the best,
but
you ain't gotta pay for it.
You ain't gotta pay for it.
You do have to fight for it. You do have to fight for it, though. Maybe some doctors are listening to you. Especially if you have kids, right? Because the kids can't talk for themselves. You got to be the one to speak up for your kids. So yeah, as long as you speak up for yourself, look, you'll be good. You'll be
good. So you briefly talked about my next question. Favorite and worst duty station?
Okay, so my favorite duty station was my very first base, which was Pope Air Force Base in Fayetteville, North Carolina. They call it No Hope Pope. I don't think it's called Pope anymore, though. I think it's called like Bragg or something. Okay. Look, I had while that was my introduction into the operational Air Force, I had the best time. So military to me is like a big sorority. I've never been in a sorority before, but that's the closest thing I can compare it to. Man, we had so much fun. It was just, it's something different about networking with people from different backgrounds, right? Yes. Because you never know who you're gonna, come into contact with. And I will tell you just a little. We had this.
Go ahead.
Crazy. She was crazy. She just didn't care. And she would like just pull out her hair and we were like, girl, what is wrong with you? It is. But that kind of made the job, fun, because you didn't know what to expect from day to day. You didn't know who was going to, go off and say something crazy. You didn't know, like, I hit a parked vehicle one day. Girl, I was scared for my life because I thought I was going to get in trouble. I thought I was going to lose my stripes and everything. But how I hit a parked vehicle, I don't know. I was young. I wasn't paying attention. It happened. But those type of things. And when I went to go tell my supervisor, like, everybody laughed it off. Like, how you hit a parked vehicle? And I was like, I don't know. I was scared. I was nervous. I didn't know how to do it. But it was things like that that just made the job fun. And that was my best duty station. I mean, we became like a family in that job, which was my first job. I worked in a warehouse kicking boxes. The best thing I ever did. And it was the people who made it fun.
Gotcha.
Now my worst duty station, I was, and it wasn't even that bad, but I was deployed overseas. And I think it was my second deployment. I just had the worst leadership ever.
Gotcha.
They was real catty women. And they just thought, like, they didn't have to, they could talk behind your back or talk about people and they didn't have to help you. Girl, that was the worst thing, you know, you can deal with at a duty station. And it just makes first of all, it made the deployment worse than what it already was, because you're away from your family, you're away from your friends. And then you have to go over here and work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and deal with nonsense like that. So that one deployment was just like my worst ever. But other than that, like everywhere else I have been, I've been to a couple places, North Carolina, Korea, which if you ever get a chance to go to Korea, Osan Air Base, maybe we party like rock stars, okay?
You know what? I know somebody right now that I met a military family when I was in that life. Right now, her and her husband is in Korea, and she says she absolutely love it. Everybody I know that goes to Korea, they love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. And I was over there before they would allow families over there. And when I say we partied like we had no responsibility, and it was so fun. So after I left Korea, I went to Aviano, Italy, which was amazing. Yes. And then after Aviano, I went to Langley, Virginia.
Okay.
Where I stayed about 6 years, which, oh my gosh, that was fun. I love Virginia. Like Virginia, there was always something to do. I love my job. I had about 2 or 3 jobs there. And then after Virginia, we went to San Antonio, Texas, which I love. I'm ready to go back to Texas now. And then after Texas, we moved to Warner Robins, Georgia, where I'm currently at now. And baby, give me somewhere else to go, because this ain't it. This ain't it.
Warner Robins is a little too slow for my taste, baby. It's a little
it is very slow, but because we have 2 high schoolers and then we have a 6-year-old. So my 17-year-old is going to be a senior this year, and then I have a 16-year-old. We're going to let them graduate, and then we may go find somewhere else to stay, because I don't know about Warner Robins, Georgia. I don't know.
So you really kind of touched on my next one, deployment. I was going to ask you, was you ever deployed? Where was you assigned, and did you like it? But you pretty much answered that.
So I've been deployed about 5 times. And each time was different. I said one of my best locations I've deployed to was my very first deployment, which was my goodness, some international airport. It was in somewhere in Qatar. And then my very last deployment I went on, which was in I think it was Al Dhafar, I believe, but I was able to it's the UAE. I was able to travel to Dubai. Oh my gosh, the food was amazing. Military sent me over there. I got a free trip to Dubai. So went to the mall, got to experience, the Burj, the tallest building in the world. It was just, I think I pronounced that right. I hope I pronounced that right. If I did, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend anybody. But we just had a good old time over there. Any deployment that I was on that we were able to go off base and experience, the culture or what they had to offer over there was always a fun deployment. So my first one, I didn't get to go off base, but we partied. Okay. Baby, we were only allowed 3 drinks over there, but we had DJs come, like every Wednesday we had hip hop Wednesday or R&B Wednesday, and great, it was just a vibe. So they just made the deployment fun, and then meeting new people made it even better, because you were able to, if you decided to carry on those relationships throughout your career, and so like I said, we created lifelong friendships. Everywhere you go, you get to create those lifelong friendships and relationships. So yeah.
Now, when I lived a life as a military spouse, this was a question, a topic, I'll say it that way, amongst women. So do you think, or did you ever experience a difference between how active duty male were handled as opposed to females?
Ooh, that is a great question. Yes. Um, so sometimes females, especially Black females, right,
Mhm.
we're handled a little differently than our male counterparts, and even our white female counterparts, right?
Right.
So our males, our Black males, are they're treated as if people are afraid of them sometimes, you know. And then sometimes they're treated as um, their punishment is a lot more steeper than their white counterparts. So yeah, there's a difference, in that aspect. And then between, the female and the male, um, males probably are treated a little worse than females,
Oh,
Yeah, so it kind of just depends on who you're dealing with, where you're at, that environment. And again, that's just my opinion of what I've seen and what I've felt. That is in no way, an opinion of the United States military.
correct. And
So
you know what? Just to park the car for anybody who want to come and try to dictate it. That's in any job.
yeah,
Okay.
any job,
Any job, whether
Yep.
it's military or civilian, any job, there's
Yep.
always going to be biasness in some capacity. So this is not by any means to try to break down the military at all. We're going to put that out there publicly.
Yeah. These are things that I've witnessed throughout, my career. Like, we're like, or it's almost like women,
Mhm.
especially Black women, like we can't be vulnerable. We can't show weakness. Um, we have to be on the go. We have to be on our toes. We have to cross every T, dot every I, just to make sure that nobody can come back and say, hey, you didn't do this or you didn't do that, or, say that we're lazy or we're not capable of doing our job. That's a struggle every day, that we have to deal with. And I believe that our Black men also have to do that. It's just because it is a male dictated world, especially in the military.
Right.
They can kind of get away with a lot more than a female can. You know what I'm saying? And it's just struggles all around. So it's a lot that you have to deal with. I'm not going to sit here and say it was always the easiest, because I've seen some things and I've heard some things that you like, wait a minute,
Mm-hmm.
not right. And why is that happening in the military?
Right.
We're supposed to be held to a higher standard. We're supposed to carry that standard with us, no matter who we are or what we are. That should never be allowed within that space. It shouldn't be allowed within any space, but specifically in the military, because we have one mission and one mission only, and that's to protect not only ourselves but the United States of America. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
And it's civilians. So just to witness stuff like that, it was a lot.
Now, from my understanding, all of your kids are military brats.
Yes.
All of your kids are military brats.
They are.
How soon after getting in did you have your first child?
I had my first child in 2006, which was 5 years after coming into the military. I was married, and I had him in Italy, out of all places, right? And I didn't have him on base. I had him off base, which was a struggle within itself because we not only had like a language barrier, but they didn't believe in like if you weren't a patient of theirs in their hospital, like you couldn't have any meds. So of course I had a natural birth, which scarred me for life. And I was like, oh my God. But yes, I had my first one in 2006. I had my second one in 2008. And then I had my last baby boy in 2017.
Wow.
Ooh, yeah.
So the follow-up question to that, what was your biggest challenge being a mother and active duty at the same time? And how did you find balance?
Okay, so my biggest challenge was whew, my biggest challenge was trying to be a good mother, right? Because the military, they'll always tell you we didn't issue you kids, so your main goal is to support this mission and make sure you can do your job 24/7, right? So just trying to make sure that I had the proper care for my kids. Like if I ever had to get up and go somewhere, I had to make sure that I had somebody available who could take them at a moment's notice if needed. That was the hardest part, especially being overseas, because the military, they expect you just to leave your kids with anybody.
You don't have a choice. Like you don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice. So that was the hardest part as a mother, and just being away from them during my deployments. I missed a lot. I missed birthdays. I missed important events. I missed a lot, and it was a struggle trying to come back and pick that up because they had their lives while I was gone. So I had to try to fit back into their lives. And try to insert myself as mom again, because we got to go back to the same rules and ways that we were living prior to you going to be with your dad or, wherever you went while I was gone. And just trying to find balance with work and being a mother. I tell you, I didn't do a good job at that. I probably felt like I was failing at both at the same time. And I wasn't really taught how to find balance. I just kind of I maneuvered through it because if you're not taught, you kind of don't know.
You don't know. Right.
You don't know what you don't know. So I will say, I didn't find balance until toward the end of my career, where I didn't have to work as hard because I knew that I was getting ready to go. I wasn't giving y'all no more of my time, no more of my life. So that's when I finally found balance. And that was 2 or 3 years ago. But just while I was in it, I mean, little things like the weekends, making sure I took that downtime and spent as much time of that with my kids. Because during the week it was hard. They were in daycare or school 6, 7, 8 hours a day. You're at work. When you get home, it's let's do homework, let's play a little bit, let's have dinner, and let's go to bed. So you get 2, 3 hours.
Yep.
And you were dog tired. So that balance wasn't as easy as people think it is or should be, especially if you've never been taught that, and you're trying to figure it out as you go.
Yeah, it's hard on military families, and I don't think a lot of people understand how difficult it can be for everybody, not just for the service member, but for the children, for the spouses. It is hard. It is hard. Yeah. And you guys don't have a lot of room to say X, Y, and Z because technically you're owned by the government. So it's whatever they say goes, like their priority, whether you want them to be or not. you don't have a choice in the matter. And it is very, very difficult on military families. Very, very difficult.
It is. And I will say this, like the spouse's job, I feel like being a spouse is the hardest part of being in the military family. Like a lot of people say, oh, just being in the military is hard. No, when you have a spouse that is not in the military, because sometimes they don't understand like what the requirements are of that military member. So they're like, why this or why that? And they just, all they see is like all the responsibility is falling on them. And that's a hard job because y'all gotta take care of everything.
Everything. You know, it was challenging. Even after my divorce, people was like, well, how do you understand? I was already kind of accustomed to it because he was gone. You know, he was gone. So I was from the time they were born, I was just accustomed to just being the only one that's standing in the paint doing everything without any support because of his job. And you have to yield to that. And it could be very, very difficult, very, very challenging.
Yeah.
At what point did you know it was time to retire?
Ooh. So people tell you, you know when it's time to retire. I knew when I was angry coming into work. I knew that it was time for me to go. When every day I came in, I was ready to punch somebody in the face. Like if you did anything to me, I was ready to punch you in the face. Like I knew it was time to go. When my kids, especially my kids, they were feeling the impact and seeing me spiraling. Like, you know, just dealing with anxiety and depression and all that. They witnessed that. And when I noticed that they were seeing their mom become a shell of herself because she was tired, it was time for me to go.
Awesome.
It was
so now, which bring us into the topic of life after active duty. When you made that decision to say, okay, it's time to exit, were there something in place to prepare you as an airman for the transition of civilian life? And if so, what was that like?
Okay, so nobody talks about this, right? Nobody talks about the bad part of life after transitioning. Yes, there is a program in place. It's called the Transition Assistance Program. I think that's what it's still called. But that's what I went through when I was transitioning. They tell you that there are multiple programs out there that can help you. You know, they tell you that the resources of who you know, the people that you can go talk to, like use these resources. Nobody ever tell you how to get to the resources, like where these resources are, you know, like they like use your community, you know, use the VA. Okay, how do I go about that? So I think that they missed the mark on some of the transition items, and which able to give feedback, you know, for that stuff. And that program is in place for people that are transitioning. Now, however, I had, God bless my husband, because he had retired 2 years before I did.
Okay.
And I had him to hold my hand and walk me through every step of my transition out of the military. And some people don't have that in place, but I was thankful that he was there to talk me through it, walk me through it, and tell me exactly what I needed to do. Because step one was you had to push the button and say, I'm retiring, right? And I was like, okay, how do I do that? You know?
Right.
So once we figured everything out, it was smooth sailing. Once I got my feet up under me and kind of, you know, and figured out what the program that the military puts you in to transition. Once I figured out what they were talking about, and asked people that were already on the outside. Please don't hesitate to ask people that are already retired, because they are where you are trying to get to.
Correct.
They have been through it. So use them as a resource as well, which is exactly what I did. And just make sure that you have something lined up if you're worried about, like, because enough people don't talk about this, funds. Like, if you're worried about your finances, of what it's going to be when you get out, go talk to somebody who's already out. Go talk to the finance people. Make sure you ask those questions in the program, the transition program that's offered to you, because if you don't ask, you will never know. Like, some people don't know that you only get one paycheck after you retire. Like, your final pay, that once yeah, after you get once it comes to your final out date, you get that one last paycheck, and then it may skip a month until you get your retirement paycheck. And that happens, because that happened to me, but I was already prepared for that, because I asked questions. I had my husband, and I asked other veterans that were out. Now, I didn't have a plan when I got out. I just knew I was ready to get out, because I told myself, like, I don't want to do nothing when I get out. I wanted to decompress from being in the military, and get back to me, who I was, and trying to figure out who that is, because you lose yourself, in the military. And because I grew up, my whole adult life was in the military. So what does that look like on the outside for me? And I'm still trying to figure that out. Right. So I would say the transition wasn't easy. And nobody tells you that downside about, hey, once you get out the military, here's what you're going to feel like, or here's what you got to deal with, because you have a lot of time on your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And while you don't have to answer to nobody or ask somebody, can I do this, or can I take, these days off or whatnot, you like, what can I do? What am I going to do? So,
what now?
Yeah. Like, what now? Right. And I tell anybody, like, go to therapy. Like, if you don't go while you're in, definitely go while you're out, because you're gonna need help. And that transition assistance program, like, it gives you those resources. It gives you the telephone numbers and everything, but use it because it is very beneficial. I would tell you, to this day, I was in therapy in the military. I'm still in therapy. I love it.
And it is nothing wrong with that. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. I love it because it gives you a chance to help you through this transition, because it's a lot, and you got to figure out, like, how am I going to maneuver through this?
And for the record, sorry, not to cut you off. Go ahead and finish.
No, go ahead.
And for the record, your husband is also retired Air Force.
Yep, 26 years.
He did
26 years.
You had that support system.
Yeah.
Because a large percent, I would like to say 90% of the people who get out don't have that support system that they could fall back on and say, okay, this is what you need to do. You do this.
Yep.
So thankfully you had that, but the average person don't.
Amen. Yep. And that's why I say, and I foot stomp this, please use the resources that are given to you. It's nothing wrong with it. Don't feel like, you're going to be shamed out of it. Because I felt that. I was like, well, I don't want to go talk to these people because I don't want them judging me, but don't feel like that, because they are there to help you. And I tell you this, I didn't believe in therapy, and that was, that's growing up. It wasn't taught to us to go to therapy. We were taught to talk to God. You know what I'm saying? And so, and there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. It is nothing wrong with that. But sometimes that's God made professionals, right? And that's
correct. God anointed these people to carry out the tasks that they carry out.
Yep.
So utilize them.
Yep. And I'm not ashamed of it. I utilize mine every month. Every month.
Therapy was the best thing to help me. The best thing to help me.
Yes. Because we don't realize, we don't realize how much pressure we put on ourselves. We don't realize like the being a mother, being a active duty military member, it's a lot. You can become easily overstimulated, and just overwhelmed with trying to be everything for everyone. And you have to realize like you can't. Some things are gonna fall to the wayside, and that's okay.
Right.
That's okay. You're not failing, which is something that I had to, tell myself, like, I'm not failing. I'm just trying to take on too much. And that's exactly what it was. Like I had to be like, okay, you can drop this. It's not going to be into the end of the world. It's going to be okay. That doesn't have to get done right now. You can maybe leave that for tomorrow. You cannot be everything for everybody and try to do everything all at once. You got to take it in pieces, and you got to rest. That's the biggest thing. Drink your water and rest. Please rest, because if you are not at 100%, you cannot fill somebody else's cup when yours is empty. So always take that with you. Like,
girl, listen, that's a sermon right there. That's a sermon. You can't give anyone something you don't have within, and I think that's where a lot of us go wrong. And that's just not for us. Everybody that's connected to us, children, spouses, you can't.
You cannot.
So this next question may or may not apply to you. What are some of the things, now that you have transitioned, what are some of the things you think the military life prepared you for to be equipped in civilian life? And what do you think is something that you learned while active that is a possible hindrance to your now?
Oh, man. So let's start with the good. So something that they equipped me with is my work ethic, right? I'm gonna get the job done no matter what. And we're gonna find a way to get it done. Like we're not gonna accept no for an answer. We're gonna try to get the yes by any means necessary. You know what I'm saying? So it's we all and that's within the workforce and family life. Like we're gonna find a way to make it work. And I like the fact that the military has equipped me with that to include discipline. Because that allowed me to instill that into my boys.
Correct.
Because having 3 of them, and then also resiliency, right? Okay. I love that the military gave me that. I also love that the military gave me a way to make a life for my family, right? Myself and my family. I love that. What I feel like that's a possible hindrance is and I don't want to say that this is the military, this is just more of a me thing. Expecting yourself out of somebody else. Like I'm back in the workforce right now. And that is a different beast. Because everybody not on that hurry up and let's go. Like right now, everybody is like, hold on, it'll get done when it get done.
Listen, back, leave me alone.
Right. I'm taking my time off. Like the military didn't prepare me for that. Like they didn't prepare me to see that, hey, everybody not gonna be at that pace that you want them to be. And I say that's everything else I think they prepared me for, but just going back out there into the workforce, I don't think I was prepared for that. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
So what does life after active duty looks like for Deniece now. What's
Oh
next?
man.
You just kind of touched on it, but what's next?
Oh, so what's next is actually retiring. Like I just started this new contracting job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in it for 9 months. And it's pretty good. I'm learning a lot. But what's next for me is to actually like not have to worry about working, because I'm right now I'm working for a specific reason and that specific reason only. Once that is done, I'm not working no more. Like I've worked since I was 15 years old, and I did this for 21 years, and I don't want to work no more. It is just after doing something for 20 years, I don't want to continue to get up and go to nobody's job and have to deal with people on a daily basis that don't think the same as you, or don't have the same goals as you. And so
Right.
I think I just don't want to deal with that. And once I'm complete with that, like I just want to travel, and I just want to watch my kids flourish. And that's it. Like it ain't no grand plan. Is I just want to be. I want to be me, and I want to chill. I don't want to have a 9 to 5 or a 6 to 3. I don't want to have that. I don't. I want to be able to get up in the morning, go to the gym, work out, go back home, and do whatever I want to do.
Correct.
That's it. I don't, nothing major, nothing big, just the simple things in life. And that's not to work.
Listen, and people ask me all the time, and I wasn't even active, but people ask me all the time, why do you have your hand in so many pots? Because I'm sick of this 9 to 5. I'm sick of working for people. I really am. I'm sick of it. I want to do what I love.
Exactly.
And what I love don't cost me any stress. I don't have to answer to nobody.
Exactly.
It's not going to give me any gray hairs, So
Yeah.
I want to know it. I'm sick of it.
And I feel that. And you know what? I wish like everybody in the world could have that,
Yes.
But, you know how this world is built. They want us to work till like we 60, 75 years old. I don't want to do that. I don't want to work till I'm 60. I don't even want to work till I'm 50. No.
Do not recommend. Do not rate 1 star. Do not recommend.
Exactly. 0 out of 10.
0 out of 10.
Yes.
So now, with that being said, what will be your recommendation to someone who wants to get into the military and retire? Would you advise them to set their finances up a little bit different, get into some investments so that when they do retire, they can just coast?
So I would definitely recommend that. I wish I would have did that for myself. I did a little bit of it. I used the thrift savings plan that the military had, but I also, hell, me and my husband, we set ourselves up so we didn't have to worry about it. Or we didn't have to worry about going back to work. But yes, if you decide to go into the military, definitely go talk a financial manager. They have them available at the Family Readiness Center or the Military Readiness Center, whatever they're calling them now. Talk to them about investments. If you're not, up on that, and set yourself up. And sometimes you may not have to go to retirement. You can do 4 or 6 years and get your education. And, if you invest right, you can get out there, get your certifications or whatever you're going to get from the military, and go use that on the outside if you want to. Because again, I would tell this, the military is not for everybody,
right?
But those who want to be in there, use the benefits that are there. Use those resources that are there to set you up for success. So once you get on the outside, you don't have to worry about a lot of the stuff that half the people that get out the military with no plan or worry about. And the biggest thing is finances.
Correct.
Yeah, so definitely, I do recommend 10 out of 10. Please go talk to a financial manager if the military is the way that you want. the way that you want to go, to set yourself up for success after the time that you want to do. Because I will tell you this, and I'll be very honest. Today, not many people want to retire from the military.
Really?
Not many people want to retire from the military because it's changing a lot. Some people just want to come in and get the education benefits and get a certification, because once you get that certification, you can go make more money on the outside.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, but get what you can get out of it. I recommend that for sure. I definitely do.
So now that you and your husband has served, you being 21 years, you say your husband did 26 years. Are you guys okay with your boys serving if that's something they decide to do?
Baby, I tell you this, okay? I told my boys I served, they daddy served, my husband served, so they didn't have to.
Gotcha.
But if they want to, I wholeheartedly support them. I hope and pray that they go to the Air Force. But it's their life. You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? And I feel like whatever is going to make them happy, I want them to do it. So if serving is going to make them happy, hey, let's go talk to a recruiter. I'm with you. But I'm going to be right there, so a recruiter can't tell them no nonsense. I'm going to be right there and be like, I know how this goes. Like, so yeah, but we serve so they didn't have to, but if they want to, I wholeheartedly 100% support that and will be with them every step of the way while I'm still alive.
Awesome. So we have come to the end of this session. It was great, very informative. Yeah. I pray that whoever watched this, listen, it was a nugget that she deposited that will answer a question for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I appreciate this. I am so honored that you chose me to talk to do this. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. Girl, I would tell you I was nervous. I was like, what am I talking about?
I was nervous to ask you. You know what I'm saying? I was nervous to ask you. I'm like,
man,
she probably enjoying her retirement. She don't want to talk about no military. She done did her.
No, I'm all about like letting people know, like, because I don't want nobody to throw the wool over people's eyes. Because if a baby ugly, like the baby ugly, I'm gonna tell you, and it ain't nothing cute about this sometimes, So just know that. But it is if you use it right, it's a cheat code to life. It sets you up properly. So again, use it for what you can. But if you choose not to, hey, ain't nobody gonna be mad at you, because it is an all volunteer force. Like, ain't nobody forcing you to do it.
So my last and final question. Finish this sentence. My name is Deniece Prather, and I'm.
Ooh. Ooh. I am happy. I am happy. Look, you see the smile on my face? Like, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Listen, I love it. I love it. Once again, thank you so much, Deniece, for your service. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to participate in this podcast on this particular topic. One of the mottos that I say for this podcast is real life, real people, real candid conversations, and I think that's one of the things that's missing from the podcast scene. I don't want to do the whole relationship guru stuff. I want to talk about real life situations, and I want to hear from people who actually walk this life, so who lived it and who could answer it to the best of their ability. So I thank you, thank your husband. And again, until next time, everybody, thank y'all for watching, and we will catch you guys on the back end.
Peace. All right, peace.